Hiya folks, it's Kikoskia here, and welcome one and all to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity, released in 2015 for the PC, 2017 for the PlayStation and Xbox, and 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Paradox Interactive, this is a role-playing game that is a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale and Planescape Torment. It was kickstarted in 2012 and is an award-winning game. One that I've never played. This is in fact a game I kickstarted and never played. I've had it all this time and it's been hanging around in the back of my mind as a game I could let's play, but I've decided that now is the time to do so. As for when I first experienced this game, it was when I was around someone's house when I watched them play it. That person is now my partner, as an aside. This is a game that a lot of people have said I should play, and I knew it'd be a game I would enjoy, but as I said, there was never the right time to play it. When I pick games that I want to let's play or stream, I have to be in the mood to play them. And I don't know why, but now I'm in the mood to play this game. I do have to reiterate, though, that I've never played it. And this is going to be far from an optimal playthrough. I'm not really going to be consulting guides to make the perfect character or devise masterful strategies. I'm going to see how playable this game is for someone that's never played it before, at a standard difficulty, with only some knowledge of this genre of game. I do have a fair bit of experience with Baldur's Gate and games like that, as you know, but Pillars of Eternity is a different thing. A different world. A grim world. A world with many dark and sad overtones that I have to warn you about. This game doesn't pull its punches when it comes to horrible things, I know that much. So, please keep this in mind if you intend to watch onwards. With that out of the way, let us select New Game, the continue is just for my various test characters, and create the protagonist that we are going to be experiencing the game with. Not a huge amount of thought went into the finer points of this character. One thing that I saw, I immediately latched onto, and I built everything around that. I'll explain as I go through the creation process. Here is the difficulty selection. There is story time. This is for players who are more interested in exploration and story development than the challenge of combat. While story time is active, the enemy composition of battles is the same as normal difficulty, but the game mechanics are biased in the player's favour. Additionally, the party can carry an unlimited number of camping supplies. If you just want to play the game, see the story and experience everything in the world without any real difficulty, this is for you. Easy requires minimal micromanagement, easily forgives mistakes in combat. It is strongly recommended for those who are new or recently returning to real-time party-based RPGs. I did think about playing this difficulty, but I think I'm going to stick with normal. The normal difficulty requires strategy and efficiency, but forgives a few mistakes in combat. It is not recommended for newcomers to real-time party-based RPGs. I'm not a newcomer, but I am a newcomer to this game. Then there's hard. The hard difficulty is suited for Infinity Engine veterans who are looking for a challenge. Survival requires micromanagement and optimization of stats through items, spells, and abilities. That doesn't sound like a fun time for me, and this definitely doesn't. The Path of the Damned. In Path of the Damned difficulty, enemies receive a bonus to most stats and encounters have many more opponents. Warning! This option can't be changed in-game. It is only for players who want the most punishing encounters. And there are two things you can select on top of the difficulty. There is Expert Mode. Expert Mode disables a number of helper features in the game. Players who want to rely on their own faculties and intuition while playing the game should play Expert Mode. This option is selected when you start a new game. It cannot be enabled in-game, and if disabled, cannot be re-enabled in that game. We're going to be leaving that off, and we're definitely going to be leaving this off. Trial of Iron. In Trial of Iron mode, only one save file is kept for the entire playthrough. Player is killed, the file is deleted, and you must start again. This option can't be changed in-game. The first reason why I'm not selecting that is, oh my, am I going to perish at some point, and I don't want to have to start the game all over again. The second reason is, if something goes wrong with the save file, I have to start all over again, and when you're playing a game this long, something like that can happen. Save early, save often, and save in different slots, and this prevents you from doing that. Anyway, we're not playing on this one, we're playing on normal. And I'm going to accept, and let a little bit of cutscene play out. There's cutscene before character creation. Obsidian Entertainment presents Pillars of Eternity. There's also the expansion. I'll probably play that too. No little bar to see how the loading's progressing.
5 wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
That's convenient. But it sounds like there's impediments to our progress. And I'm not talking about the tree. Now it's time for character creation. Our first choice is whether we're male or female. The place of men in society varies from culture to culture. Cultures like Edir and the Drywood place them at the forefront of military, politics, and heavy labour. Among the tribes of Nasitak, I'm going to get a lot of these names wrong and I apologise, men perform many of the homesteading and organisational duties. In Glanfath and Ixamital, men and women have more fluid social roles. In all societies, there are exceptions to the rule, and men can be found in a wide variety of stations and professions. We're going to be playing a woman. A woman's role in Eora is largely dependent on where she's from. In the Adir Empire, Valian Republics, and the Drywood, women occupy many domestic, educational, and organisational roles. They are the primary hunters, soldiers, leaders of tribes of Nasitak. In Glanfath and Ixamital, women and men have more fluid social roles. In all societies, there are exceptions to the rule, and women can be found in a wide variety of stations and professions. And that is our first choice. Now we pick our race. There are humans, most commonly called folk, are the most common race in the Drywood, the Adir Empire, Old Valia, and the Valian Republics. Though not as large as the towering Umawa, humans are known for their strength and willpower. You get +1 might and +1 resolve. We're not playing a human. Then, we have the Umawa. The mighty Umawa are the largest of the Kith races and are commonly found in or near oceans. Though not truly aquatic, they have an affinity for water, and many of their civilizations, such as Ruatari, are based on naval dominance. They are known for their unparalleled strength. You get +2 might. We're not picking that race either. And then there's dwarves. By virtue of land covered and number of colonies settled, dwarves are the most well-travelled race in the world. They are commonly found in the Drywood and Valian Republics and almost any colonised land. Dwarves are known for their great strength and tenacity. You get +2 might and +1 con, but you lose a point of dex. We're not going to be playing a dwarf. Then there are elves. Elves are the dominant race in Glanfath and the White That Wends, and are extremely common in the Drywood and Adir. Elves are known for their speed and intelligence, as well as a commonly isolationist nature. A +1 dex and +1 perception. Then there are the godlike. The godlike are children of the Kith, civilized races, who have been blessed with physical aspects associated with the gods, though some do not consider it a blessing. These aspects may take many forms and often come with mystical powers. Aberrant head shapes are typical, and godlike are unable to wear protective headgear, as it is near impossible to find anything that fits. Makes sense. Because of their unusual nature and their inability to reproduce, godlike are often viewed with fear and wonder. +1 dex, +1 intellect. That leaves the Orlan. Orlan are the smallest of the Kith races, though many cultures don't consider them to be civilized at all. Also notable for their large ears, two-tone skin, and hirsute bodies, Orlans are commonly found in Irglanfath, the Iximital Plains, and parts of Badirewood. They are known for their mental intensity and sharp senses. +1 resolve, +2 perception, -1 might. The -1 might's going to hurt a bit, but we are going to mitigate that later. The reason why I settled on Orlan is because when I was checking websites on information about the races, I saw the silhouettes of them, and I saw Orlan and immediately went, that race right there is who I'm going to be. And then I read the description, and I was pulled in even more. Next, we get to pick our sub-race. Every race has sub-races, and they have different abilities. There are Hearth Orlans. Hearth Orlans are often found as slaves in Redsaras and the Valian Republics. One of the treaty terms between the Direwood and the people of Airglanfath was the liberation of Orlan slaves, and while this has been honoured, many Hearth Orlans continue to live in the Direwood as indentured servants. We have the ability Minor Threat. When attacking any target that is also being targeted by a teammate, Hearth Orlans convert some of their hits into crits. And you can highlight these words, and it will give you information about them. So, hits. A hit is an attack roll that is between 51 and 100. Does standard damage. Crits are anything that's above 100. Increases the total damage done by 50%. A crit on effects with durations will increase the durations. A crit on effects with a duration will increase that duration from 50%. You can highlight everything here, and that's really good. That is a really good thing to do, to get a little bit more information. But I'm sure the game will tell us all about this stuff as the game goes on. There's also Wild Orlans. Wild Orlans are the original Orlans who lived in the deepest forests and jungles between the tropics. While they have only been significantly separated from Hearth Orlans for 1,000 years, a few genetic differences have appeared rapidly, most notably a lack of facial hair in the Hearth Orlan branch. Wild Orlans are common in the deep reaches of Airglanfath. Unlike their Hearth Orlan brethren, they are not often seen in Badirewood, Redsaras, or the Valian Republics. Instead of Minor Threat, you get Defiant Resolve. After being subjected to a will attack, Wild Orlans temporarily gain a bonus to all defences. We're going to be picking a Hearth Orlan. I think being able to convert some hits to crits will be very useful for our class. There are a lot of classes you can pick from. 11! And Fighter is one of them. If you want to be a fighter, frontline discipline armies in the Eastern Reach, they're most commonly found in cultures with an organised martial structure, fighters can be encountered almost anywhere, in almost any professions. The common element that unifies fighters is their heavy focus on endurance. So, you would get constant recovery, which is the ability to regenerate endurance at a moderate rate. You get skills, athletics, lore and survival, and then it gives you a bunch of stats here. We're not going to be a fighter. We're also not going to be a monk, who are fighters that rely on not using weaponry. We have no weapons equipped. Your unarmed attacks are exceptionally powerful and continue to increase in damage as you gain levels. As monks are damaged, their pain generates wounds. Wounds can be used to power many of their special abilities. You also get stealth, athletics, and survival. We're not going to be a monk. There's also wizards, who cast spells, as far as I know, quite a bit like how they do in Baldur's Gate. By experimentation and research and study, they learn to manipulate magical forces. You get Arcane Assault, a mid-range attack that hits a small area for raw damage and can leave the target dazed, which reduces their accuracy, perception, and intellect. Attack speed. Then you have spells. You learn them and you store them in your grimoire. Grimoires can only hold 4 spells of each level, which motivates wizards to keep multiple grimoires. So you hoard spellbooks. You also learn 1 spell of any levels. You get lore and mechanics. Mechanics is what you use to disable traps and open locks. It's interesting that wizards get that by default. Then, of course, there's rogues. You want to be sneaky? You want to stabinate things? This is how you do it. You get sneak attack, you get stealth, you get mechanics. It makes sense. Then there's druid. Animalist at heart, druids tap into the spiritual power that flows through the simple things in Aora. While not necessarily religious, druids have a reverence for the natural world and keep a keen interest in understanding its mysteries. You get the ability to spirit shift, where you can turn into an animal form. These forms give the druid strong melee abilities and grant additional powers. There's also a small variety of offensive and support spells that druids can learn, as well as a bit of lore and survival. We're not going to be a druid. There's also priests, devotees of Aora's deities. Think clerics from D&D. Generates a moderate amount of endurance from allies around the priest with holy radiance. Any enemies caught in the area take burn damage and may be frightened. This ability may shift based on your reputation. Relative to behavior. Yeah, paladins and clerics have to keep a close eye on their behavior and what they do. They have to stick true to their god's beliefs. And if they do, they're rewarded for it. If not, they're punished for it. It forces role-playing for a statistical benefit. I imagine there are ways that you can use a negative reputation to your advantage too. You get athletics, you get lore. Athletics can be used to trigger a second wind ability once per encounter. The more points in athletics you have, the better that is. It can also be used for climbing, jumping, swimming. Then there are chanters. Think bards. Yep, phrases and chants. They have the ability to continually speak chants, made up of magic phrases that produce passive effects. You also have invocations, which are powerful magical effects that chanters can create after they've spoken a required number of phrases. So they're the buffer. They're the buff person. They create buffs and make the party better. Then there are barbarians. If you want to hit things really, really hard and use carnage to make loads of damage to enemies in the area around you, this is how you do it. It's also how you can gain survival skill, which gives you those bonuses at various ranks. Damage reduction, heal multipliers, bonus movement, accuracy bonuses, increased consumable durations. And then there are paladins. Paladins are martial zealots. Or they are people that serve monastic orders. Or they're just individuals with a true bond of faith. Faith and conviction. Paladins have inherent bonuses to all their defenses, so over the course of the game, the value of these bonuses may shift dependent upon their reputation. Much like priests, you need to stick to the tenets of the god you worship. But we're going to be playing one I haven't talked about. A ranger. Rangers are warriors of the woodlands and masters of the hunt, always partnered with soul-bounded animal companions. They can be found in wild spaces all over the world. As their lifestyle often tends towards independence and isolation, it's rare for rangers to become an integral part of a large fighting force, though they are often employed as scouts or guides. We gain an animal companion. They fight as the ranger's commander, are extremely valuable for its ability to run interference. Animal companions don't do much damage, but they have high damage reduction. The link between the ranger and companion is powerful. If one goes down in battle, the other suffers as well. We gain a point of stealth and 2 points of survival. So we start with healing multiplier and damage reduction. We're going to be a ranger. And as for the abilities we can start with, there are two that we can choose from. There is Wounding Shot. As he or she will with fleeing prey, the hunter aims for a spot that will slow the target enemy's progress, hobbling the target and inflicting raw damage over time. Twice per encounter, you can fire and hobble them, which will reduce their dexterity and their movement and reflex, and it'll also deal some damage. But we're going to be picking Marked Prey. Designates a single target as prey, giving the ranger and animal companion a damage bonus against that target. 1 per encounter, 20 meters, effect, marked for 30 seconds. We're going to be trying to focus on synergizing with our animal companion. Speaking of our animal companion, we have a choice of a wolf, which has average speed, has the ability to deal damage quickly, do high damage and more easily avoid disengagement attacks. There is the stag, which can activate a melee attack that does damage to all enemies in the area around them. There's the lion, which has the ability to terrify enemies. There is the boar, which does more damage when they're hurt. And there's the antelope, which has superior defenses. But there's a bear here, folks. We're gonna be picking the bear. Bear companions have unusually high damage reduction, giving them superior protection from all forms of damage. Yeah, we're gonna be picking the bear. And we get to name the bear. So, we are going to be naming the bear. I have picked a name. We had Crumpet before. We'll have Biscuit. Now, our stats. And the game helpfully informs you, this stat is highly recommended. These stats are recommended, and the others not so important. Might represents a character's physical and spiritual strength, brute force, as well as their ability to channel powerful magic. During interactions, it may be used for intimidating displays and acts of brute force. It contributes to both damage and healing, as well as fortitude defense. We're going to want a lot of points of this. It is 1 point for 1, and we can take points away up to 3. We are not going to be taking that many points away. So, Might, we want a 16 for 18% bonus damage and healing and plus 12 to fortitude. Con is a combination of the character's overall health and stamina. Although it is not used much in interactions, it is sometimes checked to withstand pain or endure a physically taxing ordeal. In combat, it affects maximum health and endurance and contributes to fortitude defense. We're actually going to lower this, considering the fact that we got ill on the journey here, and we're going to be staying back. I'm going to make this 8. Minus 10% endurance and health, minus 4 fortitude. That's fine, we have plus 12 fortitude, so in total we have plus 8 fortitude. Dexterity! This one's going to be moderately high. Dexterity is an abstraction of a character's hand-eye coordination, balance, and overall grace. In interactions, it can be used for sleight of hand and fast reactions. In combat, it affects the character's action speed with all attacks, spells, and abilities, and contributes to the reflex defense. Considering what weapon I'm going to be taking in the long run, we need a lot of dexterity. So this is becoming 17, for 21% action speed and plus 14 reflex. Perception is very important for a ranger. Perception represents a character's sense as well as their instinctive ability to pick up on details. In interaction, it can be used to catch someone in a lie, to make an observant comment about their appearance, or to notice something happening in the background. In combat, it contributes to accuracy, the reflex defense, and grants a bonus to interrupt. Interrupt being how likely a damaging attack is to delay an opponent's current or next action. So we'd like this to be relatively high, it's already at 12, but we don't have enough points, so we're going to take a point from Resolve. Resolve reflects a character's internal drive, determination, and fearlessness, and the emotional intensity they can project on others. It can be useful for mental intimidation, leadership, and convincing performances. It helps characters maintain concentration, and contributes to will and deflection defenses, that's going to be at 10, and intellect, though this is marked as important, we're going to leave that at 10. Intellect represents a character's logic and reasoning capabilities. In interactions, it can be useful for deductions, sudden realizations, and problem solving. In combat, it contributes to the will defense, and influences duration and area of effects for all abilities and talents. We're going to leave that at 10, we're going to increase perception to 16, for plus 18 interrupt, plus 6 accuracy, and plus 12 reflex. We are very good at dodging things, moderately decent at resisting things, but we have no bonus against will. That's fine. As for our culture, this will impact us a little bit as well, because it will give us a stat, and gives us a place of origin, which some people will probably comment on. There's Adir. This is where we get a description of the various places that exist. The Adir Empire is currently the largest and most powerful force in this part of the world. It's centered around the equator and has a tropical climate. Though the Empire has colonies in numerous areas of the world, Greater Adir is at its heart and houses the majority of its human and elven nations. Plus 1 Resolve, but we're not going to be from Adir. There's the Deadfire Archipelago, consisting of the nations of Nasitak, dozens of Umawa settlements, and hundreds of lawless, pirate-infested islands that stretch across the southern sea. Deadfire is home to boreal dwarves, Umawa, and a mixed variety of other races. Deadfire Archipelago is the last stop for anyone headed east. A multitude of monstrous sea creatures infest the ocean beyond, making travel virtually impossible. That, I believe, is the place where the sequel is set. There's the Ixamital Plains. Located to the northeast of Glanfath, the Ixamital Plains are a large expanse of fertile savannas that are extensively farmed by human and Orlan residents. The Ixamital culture is one of the oldest in the world, though one of the least imperialistic, having spread out little over the past several thousand years. Gives you Resolve. We're not being from there. Then there's Old Valia. Once the crown jewel of the southern seas, Old Valia is now the crumbled remnants of an empire of warring merchant nations. Counting many humans and dwarves among their ranks, the Old Valian countries are still forces to be reckoned with and are proud of their rich cultural heritage. That gives you intellect. Then there is Ruatai. Dominated by the... I'm going to say this differently every single time. Dominated by the Omawa nation of Ruatai, the Gulf itself is host to a number of nations, most of them Aomana, Olan, and Dwarven. Though these countries are relatively young, they are some of the most advanced colonial settlements in the east. The Gulf is a land of riches and resources for those who can take them, though the entire coast is often pummeled by violent storms. Constitution's always good. Then there's the White That Wends. A large, cracked southern expanse of polar ice, the White That Wends is home to pale elves and small colonies of daring explorers, outcasts, and adventurers. While virtually no plant life grows in the White, it is home to many hardy species of dangerous animals that forage from the sea or prey upon each other to survive. We're going to be from the Living Lands. The Living Lands is the mountainous region of a large northern island renowned for its diversity of plant and animal life. Its weather is unpredictable and its ecosystems vary dramatically from valley to valley. The Living Lands are home to an assortment of races and a variety of colonial and independent settlements. This gives us +1 might, which means our might and dex are 17 and our perception is 16. But we're not done yet, because we have backgrounds to select that give us more skills. Skills, to level them up, you have to spend a number of skill points equal to the amount that is your level +1, I think. Don't quote me on that though, I'm sure the game will tell me. So there's Colonist. You are part of a group that founded a fledgling colony in a distant land, get +2 survival. Drifter. You never quite fit in no matter where you go. Each new town is just a place to rest briefly before moving on to the next. You're more comfortable on the road, travelling the world. That gives you stealth and mechanics. That's pretty good. Then there's Explorer. You find the siren call of the horizon irresistible. You cannot help but wonder what lies beyond the next hill or wave, and you build your life around finding out lore and survival. Hunter. Very appropriate for a ranger. You live for the thrill of a chase. Whether for glory or for sustenance, you make a living taking the lives of wild creatures. Stealth and survival. Works very well with the skills you've already got. Then there's Mercenary. Blade and battle is your way of life. You solve your problems by pulling out your weapon and applying force. Athletics and lore. Scientist. The rules that govern the world are a set of alchemical formulae to you, waiting to be discovered and manipulated. Lore and mechanics. By the way, these backgrounds are different depending upon what place you're from. So you get different options that will further customize your character. Then there's Merchant. You've traded goods from all over the world, pairing items with buyers of all kinds. Lore and mechanics, but we're going to pick Labourer. Your life has been spent in the study of your craft. You trained unprepared, hoping to hone your skills and ply your trade. We get some mechanics for a little bit of trap finding, trap disarmament, and athletics. For that second wind ability. Am I spreading my abilities too thin? Possibly. Will it make a difference? Probably not. So I imagine this character being someone who went to the Living Lands to make a life for themselves, generally did odd jobs, but at some point had to be drafted to fight, and in the process of training, bonded with this bear, and now they fight together. And now we're travelling the world. Now it's time for our appearance. I have a appearance in mind, and that is you. Okay, hair colour, we are going with blonde. Skin colour, you know, I think that one's actually the one I'm going to pick. As for primary, you can see there's some green and there's some red. So, secondary will be green, and primary will be red. We could change our head if we want to. We're not going to. I like that one. We could change our hair. I might change my hair. There's a hair... Yes, I believe that is the hair we're going for. So, we pick next. Now we have voices. And you click to select them. And here's something.
Yeah? I've got this.
I don't think we're going to be that one.
I'll teach you a lesson.
They'll never know I'm here.
I don't think we're going to be that one either.
Yes. Now I am leader of the group.
Tempting, but I don't think so.
Onward!
There's Noble.
Easy now.
Again, that's tempting. Then there's Mystic.
Oh?
I shall lead us.
Not so sure about that one.
Death to our enemies!
Definitely not Cocky. What about Benevolent?
Shh. I'm here. I'm flattered.
Yeah!
Tempting.
Quietly now.
Then there's Stoic.
Yeah? Follow me. Let's go.
Steady does it.
It's between Benevolent and Stoic.
I'm here. I'm flattered.
You know what? I'm going to go with Benevolent. As for the name, I have a name. And that is Lirin. And with that, we are ready. You can also use left click to spin! So much spin. And with that, folks, we have our character. Lirin, a Hearth-Orlan ranger from the Living Lands who previously was a labourer, standing alongside a bear animal companion. I think this is a decent character. Will they be powerful? Probably not. But what I do know is that when we come back, folks, we'll start playing the tutorial and see just what Lirin can do. What's Lirin's place in this world? How are we going to be dragged into the plot? What is the plot? What's happening in the realm around us that needs our intervention? I'm sure all will be explained as we begin to play. At least we won't go into a random building and be attacked by someone with a knife. Oh, Baldur's Gate. If you're a level 1 wizard and you're not prepared for that, you just get stabinated. But this isn't Baldur's Gate. This is Pillars of Eternity. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not. And if you are subscribed, press that bell for those notifications. And I'll catch you next time, folks. And I'll see you then. Later.